Hey, what's up guys? I am gonna do another Jaguar update. In this video, we are actually going to be putting tubular manifolds and or headers in the car. So I've already started yesterday, spent about an hour getting to the point where I am now. I don't think I'm gonna do any time lapse during this video just because you guys aren't necessarily going to be able to see anything what I'm doing in the engine bay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain as I go. So everything I've done so far is pretty self-explanatory. I removed my air intakes, or the air intake filters rather, and I've been slowly unbolting the bolts that hold on the cast iron manifolds. And there is 3 up top, 3 on the bottom, and then obviously it just mirrors on the other side. These are 13 mils. All I've been using is a open end wrench. You just really got to take your time unbolting them. I've gotten the front ones done on both banks. Now I'm just slowly tackling the rear ones. I am currently also unbolting the clamps that hold on the rest of the exhaust. In the rear I'm going to have to cut off some of the welds, but no big deal. And then the downpipes and everything should come down and will give me easier access to remove the rear manifolds on both banks. I'm thinking I'm going to need to remove both intake manifolds as well, and in addition to that I'm going to need to get a jack under the car and lift the engine up, obviously unbolting the engine mounts just so the rear manifolds could come out. I'm gonna try just hoisting them up and taking them out. Maybe try taking them out from under the car, but I don't know how that's gonna work. So maybe I will have to take off the intake manifolds, and if I do have to do that, no big deal. If you've never done that, that is very simple as well. It's just a matter of unbolting all of the bolts. There's 2 per cylinder, so you got all 12 on this side, 12 on that side. So and then it just comes off as one piece, and I'll show you guys when I get to that point. But yeah, I'm gonna finish unbolting the downpipes and go from there, and I'll update you guys as I go. All right, so I got the exhaust out of the car. Here is the full setup here. As you can see, you know, both banks, they go to X pipe and out the side of the car. And I am running gutted cats on the car. You guys aren't able to see on there anyways, but the new exhaust setup is obviously going to be the tubular headers going back. It's going to be still merged just behind the trans, and instead of going out both sides, this is going to go out one side. Obviously I'm running a bigger diameter pipe to compensate for going out one side opposed to both. The full exhaust dimensions are 2.5 to a 3-inch X pipe, size back down to 2.5, going up both sides. But the tubular headers are going to be a lot better than obviously the manifolds that are on the car now, and obviously a lot better than being bottlenecked down to, I don't even know what diameter that is. Inside it gets choked down even a little bit more to the big gutted cats, which is I think the real reason why I wasn't getting the sound that I was wanting. Granted, this system sounded okay, but it was a little too I don't even know how to explain the noise. It was a little too rattle canny, maybe. Sounded gurgly, and I think this is the culprit. These are the tools I used to get the nuts out of the flange there. These are 15 millimeters. I used a small impact, obviously a 15 millimeter socket with a universal swivel joint, and then if you're running a stock exhaust, you're not going to have to cut off the joints there. Mine was welded, and so I had to cut off, and you are going to have to either unbolt or cut off the intermittent pipes, just because these, when you unbolt these, they need to be kind of finessed out of under the car, so you will need to do that. So the next thing now is to undo the one nut that I have holding them in, because if I did not have that one nut there, they would just the two front manifolds would have just fell off and hit me in the face, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna unbolt the two front manifolds and then get under the car and start unbolting the rear. Okay, now working on the passenger side of the car, I got the front manifold out. Getting the bottom bolts for the rear manifold, it is a lot easier to get under the car and work your hand up and get a wrench on there. I actually just got the two bolts out of the bottom. I'm just working now on the top. I got the two out on the top here. Now I'm working at the back. On the driver's side, it's a little easier to get to that rear nut from the top. It's doable. I'm getting it with a closed-in wrench. It just takes a little bit of time. Now, when I get the bolts out for the rear manifold, I will then get a plan. I'm still thinking I'm gonna have to remove the intake manifolds to get the rear manifolds out, but we will see what happens, and I will for sure update you guys when I get to that point. All right, it's been some time since the last clip. I finally got the intake manifolds off. I'm trying to think of any tips. Well, for starters, the nuts, they are 13 mil. Use a ratchet or even an impact with a swivel socket. It will make life a lot easier. Keep track of all of the nuts and washers. These are going to be put in a bag. I just laid them all out so I could have a visual of where they're all at. For my car, I deleted the smog pump, so these are obviously capped off. Kind of the process of that. If your car still has the air pump, you need to remove the I want to say they're called keepers, but I may be wrong, which would be on this side on both banks, and then the rail will be able to come out, and then actually even before that you would need to remove the rail from the pump, and then you're able to do that, and then undo all the nuts and washers, make sure they don't fall on the intakes, because I just had that and luckily the valve was closed. And I counted and made sure I have all the washers and the nuts. In addition to that, make sure you have the throttle return spring off, because we forgot to do that, and now I gotta buy new throttle springs. No big deal. Also, you need to buy a new gas kit for air filter and also the intakes over there. So what you need to remove is this piece that goes to the brake master, this piece that goes to the crossover pipe for the ECU. This is part of the ignition. This actually goes to the distributor. My car is a 5.3, and so it uses the Lucas distributor. The AAV valve, which would be on the other side, needs to be disconnected, and then also the fuel pressure regulators, they need to be disconnected. And I think I just said fuel rails. The fuel lines go into the fuel rails here. Make sure they are capped off, because fumes, you don't want any of that getting released into your garage. I did unbolt the two nuts on the bottom. I actually need to try to hoist the engine up to get to the rear. I actually may need to take off the water rail, because it's just really far back there, and so these need to be coming off. And then let's see what else. Another thing I'd like to point out is here. Let me get some light on it. if you're for starters, it's a mess in here right now, so I'm gonna take the time to clean it. But also, if your power steering rack is needing attention, this would be the time to do it, because look at all the room you got to the lines there. I tried replacing this line with the exhaust and everything in by lowering the rack. It is the biggest pain ever. So I'm going to take this time to replace the rack and all the lines with it. So with that being said, I'm going to keep on trucking and yeah, try to knock this out tonight and then give you guys an update. Okay, passenger side, front and rear manifolds are off. The rear bolt wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. You just need to have a short open end wrench. There is a jack currently hoisting up the engine. You have to undo the engine mount, which is a 9/16 bolt. It's pretty simple. All there is one nut, one washer in there, and it's really easy to access once you get the front manifold off. Let's see, the jack is under there.
Ian's gonna try to raise the change real fast. We'll grab back.
Okay. No, thank you. And then I got the jack under there with a piece of wood. So it's just, you know, articulating it to the left a little bit. But the way I did it, and actually I'll show you the little wrench that I had to cut. All I did, because I didn't have one, is I just cut a wrench in half, and I was able to get in there, and it was smooth sailing after that. So I didn't even need to undo the water rail, so that's awesome. Now it's just doing the other side. I would suggest getting yourself a toolbox or step stool to stand on, because it is when your car's on ramps like this, it's quite the stretch. So anyways, I'm going to do the other side, and I'll update you guys then. Okay, now the driver's side is out. Same thing, I used or actually on this side I used a regular wrench, just because I was able to squeeze it in there. I did have to remove the dipstick. It just makes it a lot easier, and how I'm doing that is I am standing on top of the toolbox, and you just have to imagine the manifold still here. I'm sticking my arm under it and reaching it that way with a wrench. Same thing on the passenger side. That is I think that is the only way you're going to be able to get the bolt furthest in the back. Yeah, I was reading on the forums that you may have to remove the water well. That is not the case. I didn't have to remove it, and I only had to jack up the engine. I mean, geez, it was only a few inches that was off the engine mount, but that is that. And here are the stock manifolds. I cannot wait to show you guys the headers I got for the car. I'm not going to say anything until they come in. I ordered them on Friday, and they should be here hopefully soon. They're coming from England, so we'll see. Some tools. I just lay these out because I feel like it's important to say what kind of tools I used. I'm not going to say anything specific, but I will say that a flex head wrench are very useful, as well as a standard one. I had to cut a wrench in half, and that's fine. Came in very handy. If you don't have one of these, I highly suggest it. It literally saved my engine. I always check, you know, the intake ports to the valves to make sure nothing's in there, and if I didn't do that, I'm pretty sure I'd have to take off the head and replace a valve, just because I didn't plug it up before a washer fell in there, and I'm glad I checked it. So well worth the investment. And then a swivel head or a universal joint socket, well worth the investment. Various extensions, and if you don't have a ratchet with a swivel head, I highly suggest getting one. Without this, I don't know how this job would be possible. Really, I mean, that's how happy am I have this. Well worth the investment as well. And then probably a good idea to have a impact of sorts or a electronic wrench, just because it's good to have. It makes the job a little bit faster. Just don't overdo it with it. Just, you know, you don't want to strip things. And as well as labeling your bags. That's always a good thing, and keeping everything in order. Although the job isn't 100% done yet, this is half the battle, and I think it's important to document it. This is going to be a long video. I apologize for that, but I just feel like there's not enough videos out there on the XJS and how to do things, so hopefully this helps somebody out. That being said, it's 11 o'clock, almost 11:30, so I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight. The next clip will be me comparing the new headers to the stock ones, so until then, I'll see you guys. Hey, what's up, guys? So it is a new day. Actually, it's been a few days since the last clip, and that's just because shipping took a little longer than expected, but check this out. The new manifolds are in, and really quickly, here is a comparison from the stock manifold and downpipe to the new Simply Performance exhaust manifolds for the Jaguar XJS. So really quickly, these are for a right-hand drive. I've actually already tested. This is the driver's side for the America car. So it's gonna be on the left side or the B-Bank side. And it fits perfectly. Contacted Ben over at Simply Performance, and he made it very clear that it's made for a right-hand drive car, and he wasn't sure that it was going to fit, just due to the fact that it was designed for a right-hand drive car. And actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick this up on camera, but you could actually see that they moved the pipe, or the pipes, to a little to the left, so it would clear the steering shaft for a right-hand drive. But I'm happy to report that this fits perfectly, no modifications needed, and it just looks awesome in the car. The reason why this is back out is because now I need to put the gaskets and put a little bit of heat wrap around here so that it doesn't, you know, cook up my steering rack. I'm sure you would be able to get away with it, but this is a street car, and you know, I don't know how long I'll be idling and stuff like that, so I think it's safe just to put a little bit of heat wrap there. And then also what I'm going to be doing is putting some heat resistant tape around the new steering rack lines, which I finally replaced the steering rack, so hopefully no more leaks. And yeah, I mean, look at all the room you have here. I can't suggest it enough. If you're doing this already, you might as well just knock out the steering rack if it's leaking, or if you want to replace this line, just because you have access to the top bolt, bottom bolt, these lines, which are an absolute pain to get to with the manifold here, obviously. And you also have access to the steering shaft bolt and nut. And also, I was watching the clips I recorded previously, and I kept on referring nuts to bolts and bolts to nuts. I don't know what was going on with that, but anyways, so I'll be adding heat resistant tape here all the way down, and then maybe a little bit right here, just because it comes to, I mean, it doesn't come in contact, but you have about maybe an eighth of an inch or a few centimeters of room between this. And I did, when I had the manifold in here, I did turn left and right. This does not come in contact with the manifold. And well, I'll show it to you when it's back into the car. I'm just gonna pretty much reverse all the steps that I did to take it out. I'm gonna put the rear manifold in first, obviously with the gaskets on, and then bolt from the back forward, and then install the front manifold, and then back forward again. So I'm gonna get to that, and I'll update you guys as I go. All right, so the driver's side is on, and I can show you guys the fitment I was talking about. So nothing is touching. Actually, on camera, it looks like that's touching. That's not, it's just the way it curves around. Everything went together great. So again, how I did that is installed this side first, got everything tightened down, put your engine mount bolt back on, or nut, there I go again, put the engine mount nut back on. Obviously lower the engine before you do that. Oh, one more thing, I don't think you could install this side anyways without having the engine tilted on its side. I guess that would be to the left. So do that, and then obviously install this side. And then I really like this part because you can unbolt your exhaust easy this way. The way they designed this. So these are, where am I here? These are 10 mil, and these are just the exhaust clamps, and that will make it a lot easier. You got your connection there, but yeah, there is the fitment. Everything fit together great. But that's the driver's side on. Now I'm gonna get that side bolted. Hey, what's up guys? So where we left off was I was gonna install the passenger side exhaust manifold, and while I've done that and more, today I've got the exhaust installed, and it sounds insane. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to Simply Performance. Ben, he helped me out a lot, answered a bunch of my questions, and this really made it an easy decision to buy the manifolds. Really, I mean, the quality and everything, it's great. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, he mentioned that, you know, it was made for a right-hand drive vehicle, and it's installed now on a left-hand drive vehicle, so I'm happy about that. Let's see, the installation of the manifolds weren't hard. I think the longest part, or the part that took the longest, was the intake manifolds. If I had to do it again, I don't think I would remove the intake manifolds. I will say that it gave me a lot more room to work with, or to work in. So maybe if anybody else tries to replicate it, you guys might remove the intake manifolds like I did, but I don't think it's necessary. And then in addition, I would definitely wrap the headers before I install them. Ben actually suggested I do that, and I guess I got impatient and installed them. So I think what I'm gonna do is do something what Jaguar did, is put like a heat blanket on the manifolds or something like that, and go that route. But I want to show you guys on how well these colored and also how well they look. I really hope you guys can see it. Yeah, there we go. They look absolutely gorgeous in there. I'm definitely gonna have to redesign how the intakes are, just because it's really just, you know, getting hot air from the manifolds now. Maybe I'll do a ram air intake style like the race guys are doing, removing the high beam and funneling a tube to the intake manifolds. Here's the passenger side. And then really quickly, I want to walk around and show you guys. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it at all, but let's try to get a view. Everything clears really nicely. I think it turned out perfect. And then I'll show you guys the really obnoxious, now looking at it, the person that did the exhaust, his name's Tristan, and him and I were looking at it, and it was just like, yeah, it looks perfect. Now looking at it, I feel like I'm gonna need to cut this back a little bit. It's because it protrudes out quite a bit. I think what I'll do is just take a Sawzall cut maybe right there. But anyways, the full exhaust system now is a 2.5 inch to a 3 inch diameter pipe. Just behind the transmission cross member, it merges into the single 3 inch pipe. So it goes from the manifolds to obviously the collector, 2.5 inch diameter pipe being collected to a 3 inch diameter pipe going out the side. And like I said, I think I'm gonna cut this back. I will insert a picture now, just because I got a picture of that while it was on the lift. And then let's get a sound clip for you guys, because that's what I think everybody's waiting for. There will definitely be a pure sound video of this car on my channel soon. I just gotta record the audio and whatnot for it, and then it'll be up on the channel. But let's really quickly get you guys a sound clip what this thing sounds like. It sounds great. So let's get that going. All right, guys, and that is going to be the end of XJS update 4. I look forward to making part 5. I got big plans for part 5, so please stay tuned for that. Again, huge shout out to Simply Performance. Not a sponsored video or anything. They're just really good people to work with. So go check them out on Facebook and their Instagram. They have a bunch of cool parts and everything. Okay, the sun is getting really wild. Earlier, my eyes were just like, I was like, but anyways, this is gonna be the end of this one, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.